Hey there, good afternoon. In fact, today is one of those moments, one of those days when I can actually look at you and say, good noon. I was waiting to say this for quite a few days, huh? So, good noon. I hope you are through with CAT. So, that's one major milestone achieved in your preparation. So, how did it go yesterday? कैसा गया कल पेपर यार? एनालिसिस के बाद कैसा लग रहा है, क्या लग रहा है? स्कोर कैलकुलेटर यूज किया कि नहीं किया? आई होप दैट यू हैव गॉन ऑन टू यूज स्कोर कैलकुलेटर्स. Varun says, my slot one of CAT, there were surprises. Fill in the sentences. I think fill in the sentences, I mean, that was more of a variation of parajumbles. And in fact, the question type was pretty easy, as is the norm. As is the norm. It's a fairly easy question type. Then we have some more people. Sahana MR, but CAT was not good. Bhai, we do not give up hope until the results come out. Besides, we have more exams to focus on. So let's just go ahead and start focusing on what comes ahead. What is done is done. I'll tell you. See, there are times when things happen in life and things are not all that great. So there are times when screw ups happen in life. What I generally do is that I allocate some amount of time to deal with it. So if I want to shout, I want to cry, I want to remain upset, I want to go out and fight with people, whatever it is, I will do it, but for a limited amount of time. So I may allocate 3 hours for it, 5 hours for it. And once that period is over, or 5 minutes for it for that matter, once that period is over, I move on. 11, 11, 10. Harry, that sounds good. 866. Pranjal appears to be a little on the lower side. Thank you, Shrey. I'm glad that it helped you. Okay, and those of you who are already a part of BYJU'S family, if you have subscribed to this channel, a lot of love to you. I welcome you once again. And those of you who are new to this channel, just hit that subscribe button so that you don't meet me in passing, so that you don't meet me accidentally. You subscribe and you'd be able to make sure that we meet each other by design. So my name is Vikrant and I am going to help you deal with SNAP today. So considering that it is the first session of SNAP for me immediately after the CAT, let me give you some of the basic mental shifts that you need. So here is an overview of the SNAP exam. Oh, Bharat, that sounds great. Shrey, that's also good. Yes, absolutely, Shyam. Absolutely. We'd give you a lot of input on SNAP. Bharat, it's okay. Let us see. Just wait for 3-4 days more and we'd see. Yes, Varun, there is always a scaling of score in the CAT when you have different slots. Okay, but now that we are talking about SNAP, SNAP is different. SNAP may not always have a scaling, huh? Okay, so here is an overview so that you are able to make that mental shift. So first up, what is the test duration? It is not 2 hours, but just 1 hour. So a 60-minute test. And in these 60 minutes, you are going to write 60 questions. 15 of those 60 questions belong to general English. However, unlike the CAT, you still have 3 sections, but unlike the CAT, you do not have any sectional time limit, which means that you can devote your time to whichever section, whichever area you fancy. Oh, the unique says my SNAP exam is scheduled on 18th. Would I be able to crack it? So that actually reminds me of a student of mine. I am talking about a year long back. Okay, I'm just taking you in the history. There was a year, I think it was around 2000 or 2001, probably my first year of teaching, when I had a student who was preparing for these exams, and that was a day when CAT and SNAP, both of them were on the same day. CAT was in the morning, SNAP was in the afternoon. Now when the results came out, the student of mine secured 78 percentile in the cat, but in the SNAP, he was one of the top 10. Same day. In fact, even I was surprised. Back then, you did not have a huge variation in terms of difficulty level of these two exams. They were pretty close to each other. So we sat down, we talked, and he realized that his approach in the CAT exam was not right. So when he walked out, he talked to us, he got into that right frame of mind and decided to use the right approach, and he eventually ended up getting the top 10. So yes, absolutely. Okay, so no sectional time limit. You get +1 for every answer, minus 0.25 for every wrong. So instead of 1/3 negative, you have 1/4 negative, which should make you a little more comfortable with guessing. If you've eliminated a couple of options, now the equation may turn in your favor. There is no sectional cutoff. So you can choose to maximize your score from some of the other sections too. So basically, unlike the CAT, now the speed is going to be very important. Question selection is going to be very important. So make sure that in the first round, you attempt only those questions that you are absolutely sure of solving in less than, say, 40 odd seconds, unlike the 90 seconds that I suggested for the CAT. And questions which are lengthy, they should not even be picked up at the beginning. If you want to get a call from SIBM and SCMHRD, normally a score, and it all depends on the difficulty level of the exam, but if you are scoring around 42, 43, that generally translates. So a score of 40 to 44, let us say, would typically translate into a 98, 98.5 percentile, and that's good enough for you to get a call. Okay. And with that, let us start. So last year, you remember, SNAP gave you 15 general English questions. You won't remember, of course, but there were 15 questions that were based on general English. Surprise, surprise, there was no conventional reading comprehension. We did not have RC last year. We did not have RC last to last year. We did have this poem comprehension. They gave us 2-3 sentences followed by a question that was kind of RC, but even that was very easy. And therefore, for this particular session, I am not going to get into RC. I am going to introduce you to some of those other question types that were asked in the exam. Not really, Varun. SIIB would typically have a cutoff slightly lower than the other two. SNAP have different cutoff for female non-engineers. Now, will you attempt fewer questions because you belong to that particular segment? You'd still go out and do your best. Come on. Right now, let's focus on giving our best, and then we can talk about the cutoffs and the weightage of different areas later. Oh, by the way, I am talking about the weightage of the CAT score in getting a call and getting selected across some of the top colleges at 5 Honor app. So you can join me in for that. Varun, eventually we are talking about selection criteria then. That will deviate us from the session. Apurva, let us work with me. Let us see. The exam last year, the English can be termed English to moderate, easy to moderate. So here are the directions for the first 4 questions. In the first 4 questions, you'd see a sentence with a blank. There are going to be 4 options, and you are supposed to choose the option that suits the blank to the T. You're supposed to pick up an option which is going to be an amazing fit for that blank and mark that as your answer. Okay, so are we ready? Ishan, let us see. Let us see. How many marks can you even write? I mean, the first SNAP is on 10th, right? So, and it's actually a pretty easy paper. So let us see. Okay, so here is your question number 1. The sentence is on your screen. I'll give you a 10-second head start, and then there'll be a timer for 30 seconds. Okay, so your time starts now. Abhishek, I am assuming that you're talking about the cat. Just give it another 2-3 days. Okay, wow, 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 wow. A lot of answers streaming in. Come on, yes. Okay, so the correct answer is indeed option B. The teacher did not believe the student's excuse that the dog ate his homework. She accused the student of something. So we know that it has to be something negative. Explanation is neutral or positive, so can be ruled out. Fabrication is when you cook up something, when you create a false story. Rationalization is to justify something or to provide reasons. What is the meaning of ambivalence? Anybody who can share the meaning of ambivalence in the comment box? Dude, what is ambivalence? So ambivalence is having two opposite feelings at the same time. Or if you are unable to decide because you're being uncertain about how you feel or how something should be approached, then you're being ambivalent. So when you come across these two answer choices that you're stuck in and you're wondering which one to choose, you're being ambivalent. Or around Valentine's Day, when you wonder whom to ask out, to whom should you go and do what people do on Valentine's Day, then you are ambivalent. Right? Okay, here is your next question. Question number 2 on your screen. Here it is. And your time starts now. Ten seconds to go. Okay, I'm still waiting for the answers. All right, so the correct answer to this particular question is option C. So, see the previous question. Now we know that SNAP does ask us fill in the blanks, and there can be various aspects of fill in the blanks. So, the previous question essentially tested you more on reasoning along with a bit of vocabulary, whereas the second question goes ahead and tests you on your understanding of idiomatic expressions. When you make these extravagant promises, then the idiom used is that you're promising the moon. So वही वो अपना वो चांद तारे तोड़ लाने के वादे. हाँ, होता थोड़ी है ऐसा, but ऐसे extravagant promises, right? So tests you on idiomatic expressions. So that's something that exam can do. Here is your next question on your screen, and your time starts now. So V Shyam VPS. Should I call you Shyam? I hope that will work. You're absolutely right. It was an idiom. Last 5 seconds. Okay. Fantastic. Fantastic. So we're getting B, A. Okay. So option A, option B. Nobody has chosen C or D so far. Sakshi has used N, getting inspired by her math sessions. Okay. So SNAP can give you a fill in the blank which tests your understanding of grammar. So for example, in this particular sentence, you need to have an understanding of this area called conditional sentences, or in short, conditionals. It is part of tense. So you notice these sentences that have if, right? So here in this case, the correct answer should be option A. Why? Now, when we use these if then sentences, you just need to look at the other part. Now, the other part can use will or shall along with verbs first form, right? In which case, you use verbs first form in the clause that contains if. If the other part happens to have would, could, should or might along with verbs first form, then the if clause uses the second form of the verb. And if the other side happens to have would, could, should or might along with have and then verbs third form, then we use past perfect tense in the clause that has if. So, I mean, it changes the meaning and there are all these differences. But here, because you're using would reach, you know that you're supposed to use left and not leaves or had left. Could we use was to leave? No, but we could have used were to leave. Had it been were to leave, that could still have been chosen. So, tenses can play a role. And here is your fourth fill in the blank on your screen. After the marathon, some of the competitors felt completely blank. Cut up, done in, done out, run out. Your time starts now. So, Sahana, I hope you see that had that been where, you could have chosen that. Question 2 is a hyperbole. Earth to India. Okay, figure of speech. Yes, when you promising somebody the moon is an idiom all by itself. Hyperbole is exaggeration. So, when we say chand tare tod ke la dunga, that's a hyperbole. Absolutely. So, after the marathon, some of the competitors felt completely what? So, this is a question where you need to display your knowledge of, you can say phrasal verbs, or some of you may also want to put it under the category of prepositions. So, what is the meaning of these phrasal verbs? Once we look at that, we can definitely go ahead and arrive at our answer. So, cut up. Cut up generally, I mean, cut up is an informal expression. Cut up means to be very upset or stressed. It can also mean to upset somebody emotionally. So, I can say he was very cut up after she left. So, he was very upset after she left. So, that is cut up for you. Done in. Done in as a phrasal verb means to be extremely tired. Done out does not make any sense. There is no such phrasal verb. And then you have run out. So, as a phrasal verb, run out means to finish. Okay. So, if you have run out of food, then it means that you no longer have food available. If your phone has run out of battery, your phone is dead. Right? So, basically, to use up something completely is run out. So, here, because we are talking about a marathon, what is going to happen at the end of the marathon? People are likely to be extremely tired, and that is why B. And if you use run out, you realize they run out of what? What is it that they ran out of? What is it that they finished? What is it that they used up completely? You need to write that. So, I can say the competitors felt completely run out of battery, juice, energy, maybe. No. But without that, we cannot use run out. And cut up is to be emotionally upset. Done out does not even have any meaning, and that is why we could arrive at done in. So, that's about introduction to fill in the blanks. So, these are the kind of things that you can expect when you write the SNAP in fill in the blanks. In the difficulty level is usually easy to moderate. At least that's the story for the last couple of years. So, for the next set of questions, you'd have instructions provided right before the question. So, make sure that you read that instruction and then proceed to answer it. Varun, just the way, just like a word can have multiple meanings. Similarly, a phrasal verb can also at times have multiple meanings, right? So you have a run out in cricket. It is used as a noun there, though not as a phrasal verb. And then run out can also be taken literally at times. So ready for the next set? Question number 5. Select the most appropriate antonym of the given word. The word is on your screen along with the options. Your time starts now above me. So what's your answer? Three seconds to go. And I do have quite a few answers. Okay, so what does furtive really mean? Furtive basically means secretive. Furtive is something that is done clandestinely. So you remember there are times when have you noticed somebody look at the answer sheet of some other person during the exam? Or if you've ever been to a party where you check out somebody attractive, check out somebody you are interested in. Although I recommend that you look at that person straight, but most of the people look at this other person furtively. They'll give furtive glances. Something like this. So you notice when you look at somebody furtively, you look at the other person in such a way that the others do not notice that you are looking. So that's furtive. And hollow has no relation, wide has no relation, narrow has no relation. Straight one of the interpretations of straight is direct. So when you're straight, when you're direct, you are noticeable. But when you're furtive, you are not noticeable. So that makes straight the correct antonym, which a lot of you have also managed to get right. Okay, the next question. So this time around, you have an idiomatic expression underlined in the sentence. Your job is to figure out the correct meaning of this idiomatic expression. Your time starts now. Rishabh, to check out secretively. Five seconds to go. And we already have quite a few answers. Fantastic, fantastic. So 3 of you, 4 answers. Yep. Wonderful. So the correct answer is indeed option A. So it's not bounce back after every failure. To pull yourself up by the bootstrap is, dude, you are supposed to lift yourself up. You know what a bootstrap is? Here is a boot. This part of the boot, okay, this is called a bootstrap. So when you say lift yourself up by the bootstrap, it is another way of saying that, yeah, why don't you go ahead and do it yourself instead of relying on others. So why don't you go ahead and do it all by yourself instead of relying on others? And that is why option A. Okay. Here is your next question. Question number 7. Choose the option with correct spelling as your answer. Your time starts now. Last year, the exam actually gave you the word nuclei. You were supposed to pick up the correct spelling of nuclei. But what about this? किथे भाई आंसर किथे है? Where are the answers? Why isn't my screen scrolling rapidly? Okay, so the correct answer choice is indeed option C, ebullient. Ebullient means somebody who is very enthusiastic, somebody who is full of energy. Okay, so ebullient is as if the person has a lot of Red Bull inside. Look at this. When somebody is energetic, enthusiastic, that this, see these two ebullient persons here on the screen. So Charu, I've already shared the meaning, right? Very enthusiastic, very full of energy, hyper, in a good way. Here is your next question. So now notice, you are supposed to match the two columns with each other. So on the left hand side, you have 4 different parts of speech written. The right hand side gives you 4 different sentences that use the word down. And in each one of these sentences, the word down is highlighted. So you are supposed to figure out the part of speech of the word down in each one of these 4 sentences and then match it with the correct part of speech from the left column. Okay, it may take you a little longer because there are 4 sentences to take care of. So I'll give you a 10-second head start. Okay, so I've started the timer. Now go ahead and tell me what your answer is. This is one of those actual previous year SNAP questions. Not a recent SNAP, not exactly a recent SNAP, but they do get into parts of speech, right? Just like the IFT. So when you prepare for this, you prepare for IFT as well. So option 1, option 2. Okay. So let us see. I am sure you are likely to find some of these easy. For example, when I look at 8th, the down train, it is very clearly an adjective, right? And because it is an adjective, I know that I need to have 1 8. And the moment you do that, I think your question is solved. Well, let us check. He has seen the ups and downs of life, the ups and downs. The moment you see plural, what do we have a plural of? You can have a plural of nouns, plural of pronouns, plural of verbs. In the rest of the categories, do we even have plurals usually? Nope. And these are not pronouns, these are not verbs, so they are definitely nouns. So 3, 6. Down the hill, preposition. They came rushing where? Down the hill. It's a prepositional phrase. Starts with a preposition, acts as an adverb here. This entire part, down the hill, acts as an adverb. Down individually is a preposition. And down with the tyrant is just like, get out of the room. Okay, run from here. So that's simply a verb. So the correct answer is option 1. If you could not identify it, if you could not spot it, it'll be a great idea to revise it because you need it for SNAP as well as IFT. Right? Here is your next question. Question number 9. So you have 2 sentences, sentence 1, sentence 2. Please try and figure out if they belong to American English or British English. We did have one such question in the exam last year. It checked your understanding of will and shall. So your time starts now. Oh, Shyam, okay, you want me to explain 7th? As in the part of speech question, the previous one. How about going through maybe a mini session on parts of speech? Let us see. If there are a lot of you who want that session, we'd probably host it before the exam. Answers, answers, answers. Answers, people. Okay. So I'm getting a lot of B's and a few C's, and you are right. The correct answer here is in fact B. So we have this verb called get. Okay, so this is the first form. The second form of get is got. But the third form, or if you are somebody who is technically oriented, past participle, then the past participle can be got or gotten, where gotten is used in the US and Canada, whereas at rest of the places, we including Britain, we use got. So you notice this gotten makes it American, whereas the got is British. Right? And that is why the correct answer is B. So this was one of those new question types that we got asked last year. So, there are some differences between American English and British English. Spellings, for instance, is a very common difference. Then grammar occasionally can also be different. It's rare, but I remember there was another question that I got a question wrong in the CAT 2004, and I mean I don't get English questions wrong, okay, and that was all because of American versus British English. It was about pass marks versus passing marks. So do we use what do we use in British English? Pass marks or passing marks? So let's see. So that is why our answer here is option B, and here is, okay, moving on, here is the 10th question. Identify the part of speech of the underlined word. Another part of speech question. I introduced it so that we can go ahead and talk about it a little more. Your time starts now. People are guessing. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. I mean, in our day-to-day life, we do use passing marks, and that's correct in American English. But in the British English, we use pass marks. यार, मुझे देखो इतने साल हो गए, लेकिन वो दुख है ना, ये दुख काहे नहीं जाता है बे. हाँ. Okay, so let's talk briefly about parts of speech. A part of speech is a label that we apply to a word. That label tells us the task, the function that is performed by that word in a given sentence, right? So what is an adjective? The D here is silent, okay? An adjective describes a noun or a pronoun. An adverb describes anything other than a noun or a pronoun, right? So, I mean, if you are at a basic level, you'd say that an adverb describes a verb, an adjective, or another adverb. Although, if you want to be all encompassing, you say adverbs describe everything other than a noun or a pronoun. Nouns are naming words, conjunctions are joiners. So, what does the word fast do here? Is it an adjective? So, let us see. We know that it is describing or modifying the word asleep. Is asleep a noun or a pronoun? Is it a noun or a pronoun? No. If it is not a noun or a pronoun, it cannot be an adjective. And C is also, and it can't be a noun either because it is modifying. Is it a conjunction? Very easy to eliminate. There is no other term coming after fast other than asleep. So, and was fast asleep, it is not a conjunction. And therefore, what you are left with is an adverb. That's one way of approaching it. Another way is that, see, asleep, I know, is an adjective. And anything that describes an adjective is called an adverb. Right? So, asleep is describing brother. My brother was asleep. It's like my brother was tired. My brother was handsome when he was young. Okay. So asleep is the adjective. Fast is modifying asleep. He was in deep sleep. That is why fast in this sentence will be termed an adverb. Right? Okay. Here, na sleep. Shiyam, sleep is a verb. Asleep is not. I often in my classes I suggest a replacement strategy, but let us talk about it some other day then. Okay, here is your next set, the last set of questions. I'll give you a sentence that is divided into 4 parts. Okay, so there'll be a sentence divided into 3 parts, 3 parts, A, B, and C. If any of those 3 parts has a grammatical error, mark that part as your answer. If there is no error, there is no grammatical error in the sentence, choose option D. Hardik, we've actually gone in for a very detailed analysis yesterday. So you can refer to that. That'll work. I mean, none of us has the opportunity to write all the slots. So we just have to go by the assessments that others make about the other 2 slots. So I'm going with my colleagues on that. Okay, so here is your sentence and the time starts now. And if you think that the session is useful, if you're enjoying it, if you think you're learning something new, do share some love by hitting the like button. कर दिया करो यार motivate. So I'll give you a hint in case you've not managed to figure it out yet. It is a sentence that does have a mistake. So your answer is not D. And the mistake pertains to tense. Specifically the use of past perfect tense. It should have been what she had done. Why? Think of it. When do we use past perfect tense? Past perfect tense is used when you talk about 2 completed actions. Okay, so there are 2 actions, both of them are over, but then you want to talk about their sequence on the timeline. So 2 actions थे जो past में complete हो गए और आप बताना चाहते हैं टाइमलाइन पे उनकी सीक्वेंस या ऑर्डर, कौन सा पहले हुआ कौन सा बाद में हुआ. So when you see 2 actions happening on the timeline, 2 completed actions on the timeline in the past, the first action or the distant action is stated using the past perfect tense, and the second action, the action that happened later, is stated using past indefinite or past perfect tense. And one of those basic ways of using present perfect tense. So one of those basic ways of using your past perfect tense. So if you know about it, Sahana, no, it is a single sentence that is divided into 3 parts. In fact, for the next 2 questions as well, you would have the same situation. No. So smiling when he saw is absolutely correct. He saw what she had done. So when he turned towards her, when he looked at her, by then she was already done with some other task. So if you don't want had done, there can be another choice. You can also write what she was doing. That will also be correct. In case the action was not over but was ongoing, you can also write she was doing, but you will never be able to write has done. Then somebody saying B में she होगा ना कि he. भाई she अलग है, he अलग है. You're talking about one person and this is another person. So there are 2 different people. Yes, you're talking about 2 different people here. One person was doing something, the other person who saw. Right? So that's absolutely correct. Nothing wrong with that. Here is the next one. Question number 12 on your screen. Your time starts now. Rishabh, for the timing, let's skip commas. If we get into commas, it becomes a jargon-filled, jargon-laden discussion. We can talk about that some other day. The comma otherwise was all right. Okay, a hint for you. It is a question that tests your understanding of modifiers. It's a question that tests your understanding of the modifiers. Let us see if you've managed to spot that. So the correct answer here is A. It should not have been less. It should have been fewer. So you notice we use less for uncountable nouns, but the noun here is students. Countable, plural. So instead of less, we needed to have fewer. So no fewer than 500 students. Okay. Turned up for the SNAP session, that's absolutely right. So they basically showed up to attend the session. So in case this is a question that troubled you, I just want you to go ahead and enhance your understanding of less versus few. Here is the next one. Question number 13 on your screen, and your time starts now. Okay, so I'm getting A, I'm getting B. So the correct answer here is A. Rishabh, much more is all right. Much more is basically what? It goes on to show the intensity, right? It is much more important. So more shows comparison. Much basically is an intensifier that tells you how more, how much more, essentially. Now look at this word, ones. So you have one. The plural of one is ones. We don't want the plural of one here. What we wanted was the possessive case. So it should have been one's health. One apostrophe S. One's health is much more important than having lots of money. So I am not entirely happy with C. Why not entirely happy? Lots is an informal word. I generally prefer a lot. So a lot of money. That'll make it formal. But then that's informal but correct. Whereas one's is incorrect. You definitely needed to have an apostrophe there, and that is why we should go ahead and mark A as our answer there. Now Rishabh, it is not positive and comparative both. No. More basically makes it comparative. Much enhances it further. I hope, have you gone through that meme where there is a movie dialogue where Manoj Kumar asks the heroine, how much pagal? You're like, very much, very much, very much pagal. So remember, you at times use these intensifiers. A question can be important, a question can be very important, a question can be very, very important. Something can be more important compared to something else. Something can be much more important or a lot more important compared to something else. So you just adding a bit more of that intensity, right? हाँ सूरज माय बैड यार, मतलब वो इतना सैड मीम है ना यार, मतलब इट्स सो क्रिंजी. It's difficult for me to stand it, but then we use it, right? Grammatically correct, right? Okay, and here is the last question of the session. And your time starts now. Very much, very much. Pagal. Now I'd actually have to go and watch it again so that I remember the dialogue correctly for future references. Okay, so 5 seconds to go. All right, and a lot of you have actually nailed it. The correct answer is indeed B. It should not be we, it should be us. We know whatever comes after a preposition is the object of a preposition. It cannot be a subject, and that is why the use of we was incorrect and the use of us was correct. Okay, and here is a thought that I want to leave you with. There is no glory in practice, but without practice, there is no glory. So no matter how bored you feel, how done in, how exhausted you feel after the cat, please make sure that you continue. Please make sure that you soldier on for 6 more weeks, right? Until the ZAT gets over, we will not allow our focus to flag. We will not allow our focus to waver. Okay? So make sure that you keep turning for more of these sessions. And now that we are talking about all these other exams, you can buy BYJU'S test series where we give you 50 non-CAT mock tests. And using those, you can definitely prepare really very well for all these other exams like SNAP, IFT and ZAT. Additionally, if you know people who are preparing for CAT 23, do connect them to us, and we are wherever you are. So make sure that you join us, and there are going to be many more sessions on SNAP and IFT on the YouTube channel as well as the app. So make sure that you join us at both the places and work with us, right? So that's it for me today. From me today, have a great day ahead, and I look forward to meeting you guys soon. Until then, stay safe, stay focused, stay in touch. See you.